Welcome to Larry the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, a review of the new Uriah Heep album, Chaos in Color. This is the 25th Uriah Heep studio album. Uriah Heep, their first album came out in 1970. I've talked about this before on the channel that I consider them to be one of the three creators of heavy metal, and the year being 1970, the big bang for heavy metal, that being the first Black Sabbath album, Deep Purple and Rock, and Uriah Heep's very heavy, very Umble. I've done reviews of discussions on various Uriah Heep albums. I'll leave them linked in the description down below, so check those out. My feelings on this album, it's sort of a mixed bag for me. The album starts off a little bit slow for me. The songs in the first half of this album, they're not bad songs. They just don't quite jump out and grab me enough. There's some good choruses, like the first song on the record, Save Me Tonight, that has a really cool, catchy chorus to it. There are some cool riffs in the first 4 or 5 songs here, like Hurricane, probably my favorite out of the first half of the album because of its catchy riff. Hail the Sunshine, that also has a really cool, heavy intro, main riff kind of thing. Just a great playing, great singing on the whole record. The production is really good. You get some classic Heep moments on here with the vocals, the background vocals. Age of Change has a keyboard organ intro that's very classic Uriah Heep. But unfortunately, the songs just don't really reach out, and they don't make me want to come back and listen to them again. In fact, there were 2 things that happened when I was listening to this album that were always a bad sign. I was somewhere waiting in my car listening to the record, and all of a sudden I was looking out the window thinking about something completely unrelated to this album, and I kind of caught myself like, oh, I'm supposed to be listening to the record. That's a bad sign because my attention, it wasn't holding my attention. The other thing was, about 4 songs in, I looked and went, oh man, how long is this record? And that's not a feeling that you want to kind of feel like, oh wow, the record's over already. That wasn't how I was feeling. And again, it's just because everything kind of runs into each other. There's not enough variety within the first 4 or 5 songs for me. A bunch of them are in the same key. Even the riffs are kind of similar. If you listen to, I think it's the first 2 songs, it's like the first 3 notes of the riffs are the same. And so they just kind of all blur into each other for me. It isn't until we get to One Nation, One Sun, which is a ballad, where it sort of made me start drew my attention in again, just because it was a different feel. Unfortunately, I didn't really like the song, but I appreciated the fact that it changed up sort of the monotony of what I was feeling from the first, so many songs. And again, I feel bad because it isn't like, there's nothing terrible about the early part of this record. It's just that it just didn't really reach out and grab me. But the second half of this record did. And the second half of the record for me feels way more adventurous. The songs have a lot more things going on in them, changes, dynamic, tempo changes, feel changes. And I love the second half of this album. And in fact, it made me wonder if maybe they did this on purpose. The more straightforward songs are at the beginning of the record. The more adventurous songs are on the second half of the record. Kind of wish they didn't do that. It's a long album. I think it's like 60 minutes. They probably could have cut some of these songs out, or they could have mixed the songs in better. But as it stands, I really like the second half of the album. Golden Light has a modern Deep Purple feel to it. Great catchy chorus, melodic soloing, great guitar lines. You'll Never Be Alone I really liked. It started off with, reminded me of kind of very mellow, with almost like a Peter Gabriel era Genesis, the way Peter Gabriel would sing those more kind of softer, mellow stuff, and then it erupts into a big chorus. Really nice bass work in this one. Really nice playing all over the record from everybody. The production is really good. In this particular one, You'll Never Be Alone, the production really shines in this one because there's a lot of dynamics in the song. Parts, just different parts to it, and this is what I was missing from the first half of the record. I'd like to be surprised. I want to hear things and be like, wow, where did that come from? Or I wasn't expecting that, or I say this on the channel all the time. I love what I call gear changes, where things just suddenly get faster or slower, and you're getting that here on like Golden Light and You'll Never Be Alone. Fly Like an Eagle, I was a little scared. I thought, oh man, this isn't a Steve Miller cover, is it? It's not. It's a really awesome, hard, heavy, 6/4 feeling, kind of proggy a song. The rhythm in this really jumps out at me. Again, this is something, this is what I want to hear. I want to hear like something rhythmically, or a guitar riff, or a tempo change, or a dynamic change. It just makes me like kind of sit up and like, wow, really grab my attention. And this one really does. Fly Like an Eagle, nice grinding organ in it in the background, big soaring chorus. Freedom to Be Free, another really great one, longest one on the record at 8 minutes and 11 seconds. It's got a lot of changes to it, great groove, great playing. Everybody gets a chance to shine in this one. Really awesome distorted bass solo, keyboard solo, guitar solo. Then there's a really nice surprise section where everything just drops out and there's this really beautiful piano line before everything kicks in again. Then the album ends with Closer to Your Dreams, which is like a heavy blues shuffle. Kind of reminds me of like Look at Yourself, sort of a classic. And this one also makes me think of like classic Uriah Heep. So kind of a mixed bag for me. Really liked the second half of this album. First half of the album didn't really grab me too much. I found myself when I got home from my car ride, I came into my house and wanted to listen to the second half again. In fact, I listened to the second half like three or four times, and I listened to the first half one more time just to do it, but I just really didn't feel like I wanted to listen to the first half again. And so I kind of wish that the whole album was like this, a little more adventurous, a little more chances, a little bit more proggy. But if you're a fan of the Bernie Shaw era of Uriah Heep, Bernie Shaw, he sounds fantastic if I haven't said that already. This is more like that. If you liked their last album, Living the Dream, I think you're going to really like this one. And I do really like the fact that Uriah Heep, they've seemed to have settled in on a sound, in these last like 4, 5, 6 albums here in the Bernie Shaw era. Whereas there was kind of a, I love the David Byron era of the band, and there's parts of their catalog after David Byron that I don't really know that well because it seemed like they were kind of all over the map. But they've seemed to have settled into something that they're really comfortable with. There's a lot of energy here. It does sound a lot of fun. Sounds like they're having a good time. So for that, I applaud them. A band that's been around this long, still putting out records, still putting out good records. That's something that I will always salute. But for me, again, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. So let me know what you guys think in the description down below if you've heard the album. What do you think of it? Let me know down below. Till we see you again, make sure you rock hard, right free.